We know Prince Andrew got to know Jeffrey Epstein in 1999. We know that he saw him fairly regularly.
The Duchess of Sussex once worked overtime to paint herself as the perfect everything, the perfect look, the perfect partner, the perfect mother, the perfect public figure, like she had every angle locked down. But everyone knows an image that polished can only stay shiny for so long before it starts slipping. People kept buying the act for years, while she pushed this idea of being kind, caring, and flawlessly suited for royal life.
We know that Prince Andrew had a relationship of some sort with Virginia Roberts. She is the woman that Prince Andrew's got his arm around in this photo.
But that mask was never built to last. Behind the scenes, the whispers crept in. Talk about her attitude, talk about her choices, even talk about her looks changing had the internet buzzing like crazy. Folks started saying the "Josh should say he is in trouble" type of energy was following her, except this time people were pointing at her instead. You could feel the shift, like the world was finally catching the vibe that something wasn't lining up. Then the conversation took a sharp turn into something way heavier. Suddenly, her name was dancing around online next to the explosive Epstein story, a case so loud you'd need to be hiding underground to miss it. This wasn't some tiny scandal. This was a global storm, tied to power, influence, private islands, secret lists, and people in high places who thought rules were optional. Epstein had access, connections, and doors that only opened for the ultra-elite.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight in support of Project Healthy Minds, our partners at Archwell Foundation, and the true leaders in mental health access.
Just as I see in you, the present and the future. And I reiterate that point because oftentimes we speak to young adults about the years ahead, about what you'll do, what you'll have to adopt to fix from previous generations.
He moved in circles most people will never even see in movies, brushing shoulders with celebrities, political giants, and yes, even members of royal families. And once his world got exposed, anybody remotely linked to that orbit found themselves dragged into conversations they never expected. Jeffrey Epstein moved through high society like he owned every room he stepped into. A billionaire with a luxury lifestyle so loud it made people stare, he attracted celebrities, business leaders, and political names like it was nothing. But while everyone saw yachts, private jets, and glamorous events, a different story was unfolding in the shadows. One only a few insiders ever dared whisper about. People thought his wealth came from some mysterious financial genius, but the more investigators looked, the more something felt off. That polished image, those exclusive circles, those secret trips, it all started looking less like success and more like a giant distraction hiding something deeply wrong behind the curtain. His private island became a symbol around the world, a place people talked about with disbelief.
This is Jeffrey Epstein, multimillionaire, hedge fund manager, businessman with famous, powerful friends, and also convicted offender. Just weeks ago, court documents pertaining to his case were unsealed by a New York court.
Online conversations started painting it as a location tied to disturbing secrets, shady guests, and activities nobody wanted their name anywhere near. Even without repeating the graphic claims, the vibe alone was enough to make anyone uneasy. The shock hit globally because Epstein wasn't some random mystery figure. He was connected to the elite. He handled big money accounts, sat with world leaders, and acted like nothing could ever touch him. People kept asking how someone with that much access and that many famous friends managed to move like a ghost for so long. And then the mask finally cracked. After years of rumors and hidden files, Epstein was arrested in 2008, a moment many thought would expose everything once and for all. But instead of a major punishment, he walked away with a short 13-month sentence that felt more like a privilege than a consequence, leaving the public staring in disbelief.
That's an island over a mile away from St. Thomas, the main island. And it's out there and it's isolated. He purchases that, right? Then he owns the jet.
After Epstein took a plea on a few smaller charges, he didn't vanish from elite circles like many expected. He still held on to powerful connections, and one of the biggest names tied to him was Prince Andrew. Their link wasn't a quiet one either. People saw them together at parties, luxury gatherings, and private events that made the public raise their eyebrows every single time. Things got even louder when cameras caught them taking a relaxed stroll through Central Park in early December of 2010. The world already knew Epstein had a criminal past at that point, so seeing a royal walking beside him like nothing changed made the whole internet freeze. You could feel the shock hit the palace, the press, and regular people all at once. Then came the photo that turned everything into worldwide noise. a picture surfaced showing the Queen's favorite son standing with Virginia Giuffre, a woman who later spoke out about her experiences from that time. Her claims shook the entire conversation, placing Prince Andrew right in the center of a story he never wanted to be part of. Prince Andrew denied everything with an explanation that instantly went viral for all the wrong reasons.
How do you get off? It's not like a person who's on the island can just say, okay, I'm going to swim to St. Thomas.
He said he couldn't have been sweating the way she described because, according to him, he physically couldn't sweat at that point in his life. People didn't know whether to be confused or stunned, and the clip became one of the most replayed interviews ever. The moment he said it, the public reaction exploded. It didn't calm anything down. It only made the situation louder, messier, and way harder for the palace to control. Prince Andrew insisted he had no memory of ever meeting her, repeating it again and again like it was his only lifeline. Then 2019 hit, and Epstein was taken into custody once more, this time facing serious federal accusations tied to his secretive world and powerful connections. But just a month later, news broke that he was no longer alive in his jail cell, sending shockwaves everywhere. Some people accepted the official story immediately, saying it was a case of a man whose world had collapsed and couldn't handle the pressure anymore.
You ever solicited a Constitution?
I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
Somehow, his lawyers had worked out a deal with the U.S. Attorney's Office.
It was more evidence of the fact he was powerful and he could fix what everything came up.
This case was one of the worst failures of the criminal justice.
But others weren't buying it. The internet lit up with theories, questions, and debates that never seemed to end. People said the story felt unfinished, like too many loose ends were suddenly tied up overnight without real answers. And with him gone, the intense spotlight shifted straight onto Prince Andrew, whether he was ready or not. Trying to protect his reputation, he sat down for a BBC interview that was supposed to clean things up. Instead, it blew everything wide open. Viewers called his tone smug, disconnected, and bizarre, with major outlets like The Guardian describing the appearance as a catastrophic error. The interview clips spread across the world instantly, and the reaction was brutal.
Was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have a bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating.
Within days, the pressure became unstoppable, and the prince stepped back from royal duties in a quiet, low-profile exit. His public image took a massive hit, and every attempt to explain himself only stirred more confusion. Then came 2022. Even after claiming the entire situation was false and denying any wrongdoing, Prince Andrew reached a settlement with Virginia Giuffre for a reported multi-million-pound amount. There was no admission of guilt, but he acknowledged that she had faced unfair treatment in the public eye, a statement that raised eyebrows everywhere. Then in 2025, everything changed for Prince Andrew in a way nobody thought would ever happen. He was officially stripped of all his royal titles, including Prince, Duke of York, Earl of Inverness, and Baron Killyleagh, and he lost the privilege of being addressed as His Royal Highness.
Go to the United States, but I didn't have much time with him. I suppose I saw him once or twice a year, perhaps maybe maximum of 3 times a year.
This decision came straight from King Charles himself, a move so bold it sent shockwaves across the entire royal world. Not only that, but Andrew was also told to leave his Windsor residence, a place he had treated like a long-term base for years. Overnight, his world shifted from royal luxury to something far more restrained, reminding everyone that even high-ranking insiders aren't untouchable when things get too messy. But this story didn't revolve around Epstein alone. There was another major name that kept resurfacing again and again. Enter Ghislaine Maxwell, a British socialite who once moved through elite circles with ease and confidence.
Can't call him Prince Andrew anymore. His big brother, the King, stripped him of his titles today, which also included Earl of Inverness and Knight of the Order of the Garter.
She later became tied to Epstein's hidden world and is now serving a long 20-year sentence for her involvement. Even from behind bars, she hasn't stopped speaking on the case, the events, and the people connected to the whole saga. Her background only made the story more explosive. She was the daughter of powerful publishing magnate Robert Maxwell, a man who opened doors for her in both London and New York high society. She grew up surrounded by influence and privilege, admired by some and intimidating to others, always positioned as someone who could walk straight into any exclusive room. Maxwell's childhood had difficult moments too. One of her brothers suffered a severe accident when she was a newborn, and the effects of that followed her family for years. Despite the hardships and all the complicated family history, she went on to become a well-known figure in British social circles, frequently photographed with prominent names like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and others. It all started with small warning signs, strange comments, and those odd moments people brushed off until they couldn't anymore. She once joked about burning your arts, and folks around her felt something was off, but nobody expected the full story that was waiting behind the curtain. How did a woman born into one of the most powerful families in Britain turn into one of the most criticized figures on the planet?
However, Ghislaine was reportedly his favorite child.
I think she was a little spoiled. I think I could see that.
After Maxwell purchased the Oxford United Football Club, he gave his daughter the job of director.
Everything shifted after the sudden passing of her father aboard his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, near the Canary Islands. It was labeled an apparent self-inflicted incident, and that moment seemed to flip her world upside down. Not long after, she connected with Jeffrey Epstein, and their partnership quickly became the center of endless conversations and investigations. Court documents and public reports later painted her involvement as far from passive. Many believed she wasn't just standing in the background. They argued she played an active role by introducing young women to Epstein's circle and pulling them into environments that made many deeply uncomfortable.
But by going to police, Maria felt the full force of Maxwell's fury. Terrified, Maria went into hiding and gave up her art career. What sort of threats has she made against you?
Originally, it started with things like, I'm gonna burn your art.
These claims described her as someone who approached people with charm, trust, and influence that she used in the wrong way. Some testimonies alleged she would guide individuals toward actions that suited Epstein's preferences, showing a level of involvement that shocked even seasoned investigators. People started wondering what the truth really was. Was she acting out of loyalty, manipulation, or something deeper? Was she controlled emotionally? Was she trying to survive in a world where power ruled everything? To this day, the biggest question remains. Was Ghislaine Maxwell a mastermind of her own choices, or was she shaped by forces around her that twisted her sense of right and wrong? Her story keeps raising new questions every year, and the public still can't agree on who she truly was in that storm.
Has been reached in the trial of Jeffrey Epstein's former confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell. Longtime Epstein associate is guilty of all but one charge she faced.
In 2022, Ghislaine Maxwell was handed a 20-year sentence for her role in Epstein's illegal operations. A moment that marked the end of her long run in elite society. Prosecutors said she supported and enabled serious wrongdoing, which led to her being found guilty on multiple federal charges connected to transporting individuals and pulling them into situations they never should have been in. From living like the world was her personal playground to now being surrounded by fences and quiet hallways, her life flipped in a way nobody could have predicted. No private jets, no luxury circles, no high-profile parties, just long days in a facility far from the glamorous life she once showed off. In August 2025, she was moved from a Florida federal women's prison to a low-security camp in Texas, and even behind those walls, she hasn't stopped talking. Her interviews and comments keep raising eyebrows because she seems determined to stay in the spotlight one way or another.
Ghislaine Maxwell, the one-time madam of billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, was last year convicted of crimes against underage girls. Her victims hoped a jail cell would silence her. Turns out they were wrong. As well as appealing her 20-year sentence, Maxwell has now begun a concerted campaign.
And now the big question people keep asking is this: why is someone tied to one of the biggest scandals in modern history suddenly pulling Meghan Markle's name into the conversation? Meghan is already getting dragged online over her raspberry jam brand, with people clowning the texture and pointing out that under FDA rules, it's technically not even jam, it's considered a spread. Social media has been spinning that into jokes for weeks. But Maxwell mentioning Meghan hit in a whole different way. She hinted at Meghan having a life before fame that fans might not know about, stirring curiosity and confusion all at once. She didn't give clear details, but she gave just enough to make people wonder what she was implying. Maxwell's claims line up with one thing Meghan has always guarded tightly: her image. The Duchess spent years shaping the perfect public persona, so any hint of a hidden past instantly creates noise. And Maxwell knows exactly how to keep the world talking.
Meghan Markle is getting raised for her raspberry jam, but some are criticizing its runny texture. Turns out it's not actually jam. Under FDA regulations, it's technically a spread.
Meghan has spent years shaping her public identity as the woman who climbed from a small acting career to becoming a modern-day people's princess, someone who shows up for charities, speaks on big causes, and positions herself as a champion for change. Every appearance feels intentional, every speech feels polished, and she knows exactly how to keep her image glowing in front of the cameras. But even from inside a prison cell, Ghislaine Maxwell kept dropping Meghan's name in ways that made people freeze. She hinted that she knew things about Meghan's early life, long before the royal spotlight ever touched her. That claim alone was enough to send Meghan's fans and critics into two completely different storms. Maxwell also suggested that Meghan saw parts of Epstein's world up close during years when certain circles crossed, but stayed silent about it.
I was doing Confessions of a Female Founder as I was building this. I'd always loved the podcast, How I Built This. And I thought, could we do something that feels a little bit like the tenor of how I'm building this?
She claimed Meghan wasn't just near the environment, but understood more than the public ever realized. According to Maxwell, she even knew Prince Andrew during the years his name kept coming up in headlines, and that she was familiar with Virginia Giuffre during that era as well. Those comments lit up every social feed instantly, because if any part of it were true, it would clash violently with the carefully crafted brand Meghan has built, a brand centered on empowerment, individuality, and emotional storytelling. Maxwell's words created a version of Meghan that didn't match the public image at all, and the contrast was loud. It all escalated when Maxwell mentioned a supposed document, a CV, claiming it showed Meghan had knowledge she hasn't shared with the world. Nobody has seen this document publicly, nobody knows what it actually contains, but even the rumor of it was enough to spin the internet into chaos. Supporters called it another targeted attack.
It started so well. A dashing prince with the love of his life.
Critics said it fit a pattern, and neutral viewers were simply confused. For someone who built a reputation on authenticity and independence, this situation definitely added pressure to the armor around her public image. Meghan has faced many controversies over the years, but this one came from an unexpected source, and the timing only made it more dramatic. But the part that people are watching most closely isn't what Maxwell said. It's the silence coming from Meghan herself. The Duchess is usually quick to respond, quick to correct, quick to defend, and she never hesitates to push back when she feels targeted. This time, though, she hasn't said a single word, and that silence is louder than any statement she could have made. Meghan has always known how to flip the script before anyone else gets a chance to twist it. Her interviews, her documentary, and every carefully planned appearance were used like tools to stay ahead of any rumor that might damage her spotless image. She built a system where she spoke first, shaped the story first, and made sure every headline leaned in her favor.
Blame game, much of it directed at Meghan, is fierce. It hasn't yet progressed to off with her head, but it's still a major headache.
But ever since Maxwell dropped her name, something strange happened. No interview, no polished statement, no poetic Instagram caption, nothing at all. Total silence. And that silence has the internet buzzing louder than any rumor ever could because Meghan never lets a story float without her voice in the middle. So what does this mean? People keep saying there's no smoke without fire, and the question keeps getting louder online. What if Maxwell's claims hold even a tiny bit of truth? And if they do, why would Meghan assume the world would never hear about it? Did she think her brand as a global humanitarian and motivational icon would cover everything from her past? Did she believe the spotlight would blind everyone from seeing anything before the fame? Or is this all coming from Maxwell trying to pull everyone down with her now that she's stuck where she is? That theory is floating too. Some think Maxwell is just stirring chaos because that's the only power she has left.
Everyone looks pretty unhappy, essentially. Apart from, I dare say, Meghan. Look at the expression on her face. She seems kind of pleased, really, as if maybe she's got what she wants.
So where does this leave Meghan Markle right now? A duchess who went from Hollywood auditions to royal palaces, now hearing whispers coming straight from the darkest corners of elite society. Whether this mysterious Maxwell CV exists or not, the timing feels wild to everyone watching. Too sudden, too sharp, too perfectly placed to ignore. Is Maxwell desperate for attention behind bars, trying to claw her way back into relevance by attaching herself to Meghan's name? Or is she revealing something she held onto for years? The world is waiting for Meghan's next move, and for once, she's letting the noise build without stepping in. So now, the world is asking the real question: has Meghan's perfectly polished past finally circled back to shake her image? Because one thing is clear, Meghan has always been in control of her story, always speaking first, always keeping the spotlight steady and clean. But this time, her silence is hitting harder than any statement she could have crafted, almost like the quiet is louder than her usual defenses. And if royal history has taught us anything, secrets never stay hidden forever. They slip out, they resurface, they return at the most unexpected moments. Maybe this is the start of a new chapter in her royal journey, or maybe it's the moment where everything she built gets tested in a way she didn't expect. Right now, the world is stuck between two possibilities. Is Meghan Markle just the target of another over-the-top smear attempt, something designed to shake her confidence and crack her brand? Or did Ghislaine Maxwell just hit a nerve and expose something Meghan hoped would never make it into the public eye? The tension around this question is wild, and nobody knows which way the story will flip next. But until the truth finally rises to the surface, the whole world is watching every move, every silence, every reaction with full attention. If you want the next updates the second they drop, make sure you hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you never miss another moment of this royal chaos.